Bring in the next one, Commander Vrazak sighed, his four arms moving in perfect synchronization to adjust the monitoring equipment. His scaled skin reflected the harsh laboratory lights as he glared at the entry door. And someone please tell me this one won't explode like the last three. The laboratory hummed with activity. 27 of the Galactic Confederation's most brilliant scientists scurried around, pretending to look busy whenever Vrazak glanced their way. Not that he could blame them. After 16 failed test subjects, morale was lower than a Neptunian slug's belly. Subject 17 is ready, Commander, announced Chief Scientist Peltora, her antenna twitching nervously. The human female appears stable. Vrazak snorted, a sound that resembled a garbage disposal choking on metal. That's what you said about Subject 12, and we are still finding pieces of him in the ventilation system. The laboratory doors slid open with a pneumatic hiss. Two guards, each standing nearly 8 feet tall with exoskeletons that could withstand a direct hit from a plasma cannon, dragged in a surprisingly small figure. The human female couldn't have been more than 5', with copper-colored hair cropped short against her skull. Her eyes, an unsettling shade of green that reminded Vrazak of the toxic swamps on Rigel 9, darted around the room, taking in every detail. Unlike the previous subjects who had screamed, begged, or tried to fight, this one was calm. Too calm. Subject 17, Vrazak announced, his voice booming across the laboratory. Do you understand why you are here? The human's lips curved into what Vrazak recognized as a smile, though it didn't reach those swamp-green eyes. To be your guinea pig for whatever nightmare fuel you are cooking up? Or maybe you just needed someone to liven up this party? Gotta say, your decorating skills could use some work. Very sterile death chamber cheek. Scientist Peltora leaned toward Vrazak. The translator must be malfunctioning. She's speaking nonsense. No, Vrazak replied, suddenly feeling uneasy. That's sarcasm. Humans use it as a defense mechanism. He addressed the human directly. You have a name, 17? Eliana Reeves, she replied, straightening as much as the restraints would allow. Though my friends call me Eli. Not that I expect we will be exchanging friendship bracelets anytime soon. Vrazak circled the examination table where the guards had secured her. The previous 16 subjects had been chosen for their physical attributes, soldiers, athletes, specimens of peak human condition. This one was unimpressive. Average height, lean but not muscular, no visible enhancements or modifications. Just another fragile human. Do you know what happens to test subjects who fail, Eliana Reeves? Vrazak asked, pronouncing her name with exaggerated precision. Let me guess, she replied, that unsettling smile still fixed on her face. Not a fruit basket and a thank you card? One of the guards made a sound that might have been a suppressed laugh. Vrazak shot him a glare that promised latrine duty for the next solar cycle. The Galactic Confederation has determined that humanity possesses certain genetic quirks that could be beneficial to our species, Vrazak explained, gesturing to Peltora to prepare the injections. You are going to help us access those quirks. And the 16 humans before me? They were just what, practice runs? Vrazak's upper left eye twitched. How do you know about the others? Eliana's smile widened. I didn't. But thanks for confirming my suspicions. So, 16 dead humans. You guys must be really bad at your jobs. Peltora approached with a tray of syringes filled with luminous blue liquid. Commander, the Ascension serum is ready. Shall we proceed with the standard protocol? Vrazak nodded, watching Eliana's face for signs of fear. There were none. Either this human was exceptionally brave or exceptionally stupid. Neither boded well for their experiment. You know, Eliana said conversationally as Peltora prepared the first injection site, most people ask for consent before sticking strange things into other people's bodies. It's considered polite. We are not people, Vrazak replied. We are Vexillians. And your species' concept of consent is irrelevant to galactic progress. The first needle pierced Eliana's skin. Unlike the previous subjects who had screamed or thrashed, she merely inhaled sharply, her gaze locked on Vrazak's face. "The serum will begin to rewrite your genetic code," Tora explained, administering the second injection. "It will either kill you outright or transform you into something more." "Sounds like a win-win," Eliana muttered through gritted teeth. "Either I die, or I become your super soldier. Dream come true." By the fifth injection, sweat beaded on Eliana's forehead, and her breathing had become labored. Still, she hadn't screamed. Vrazak found himself oddly impressed. "Vital signs are fluctuating," reported one of the monitoring technicians. "Brain activity increasing by 42%. Body temperature rising." "That's normal at this stage," Tora reassured. Subject 14 reached this point before the cellular breakdown began. "Cellular breakdown?" Eliana asked, her voice strained. "That sounds unpleasant. Your cells will either accept the serum and rewrite themselves," Vrazak explained, "or they will liquefy." Subject 7 melted quite spectacularly. "We are still scrubbing the residue off the ceiling." "You really know how to make a girl feel special," Eliana gasped as the final injection was administered. "So what happens if I don't melt?" Vrazak's 4 arms crossed over his chest. "Then you become the first successful human-Vexillian hybrid. Enhanced strength, telepathic abilities, accelerated healing, and access to the neural network that connects all Vexillian minds." A hive mind. Eliana's eyes widened slightly. "You are trying to plug me into your space alien hive mind?" "Not exactly," Tora interjected. "It's more of a collective consciousness. We maintain individuality but share knowledge and experiences across vast distances." "Commander," the monitoring technician called out, alarm evident in their voice. "Her neural patterns are unusual. I have never seen anything like this." Vrazak moved to the monitor and frowned at the readings. Where previous subjects had shown chaotic spikes before system failure, Eliana's brainwaves were forming patterns. Impossibly complex, mathematically perfect patterns. "Increase containment protocols," Vrazak ordered. "Prepare the neural dampeners." "Too late for that, I think," Eliana said, her voice suddenly different, deeper, resonant, as if multiple voices were speaking in perfect harmony. The restraints on the examination table snapped like brittle twigs. Eliana sat up slowly, her movements fluid and precise. When she opened her eyes, they no longer resembled toxic swamps. They were galaxies, swirling vortexes of stars and cosmic dust. "What have you done?" Tora whispered, backing away from the table. Eliana tilted her head, studying her own hands as if seeing them for the first time. "You wanted access to humanity's genetic quirks, didn't you? Well, congratulations. You found them." Vrazak reached for the emergency containment controls, but before his fingers could make contact, he froze. Not from fear, but from physical impossibility. His body simply would not respond to his commands. "I can feel all of you," Eliana said, sliding off the table to stand on shaky legs. "Every thought, every memory, every secret you have tried to hide from your precious confederation." "Impossible," Vrazak managed to say, though his mouth barely moved. "The neural network can't be accessed by an untrained mind. It would cause insanity." "Who said I'm sane?" Eliana laughed, a sound that sent chills through every being in the laboratory. "Your first mistake was thinking humans are simple creatures. Your second was choosing me as your test subject." "What are you?" Tora asked, her scientific curiosity momentarily overriding her fear. "Before you abducted me?" "I was a neuropsychologist specializing in pattern recognition and cognitive integration," Eliana replied, walking slowly around the laboratory, touching equipment with newfound fascination. "My entire career was spent studying how minds connect and communicate. And now you have given me direct access to the largest network of connected minds in the galaxy." Vrazak felt a presence in his mind, gentle but insistent, like fingers rifling through papers. "Get out of my head," he growled. I'm just browsing. Ileana replied with a dismissive wave. Fascinating stuff in here. For instance, I now know that this wasn't sanctioned by your Confederation at all. This is your personal project, isn't it, Commander? A bid for power. The other scientists in the room turned to look at Vrazak, confusion and betrayal on their faces. She's lying, Vrazak insisted. This is Confederation-approved research. Is it? Ileana asked, tapping her temple. Because according to your memories, you have been siphoning resources for years, building this facility in secret, all to create your perfect weapon. A hybrid creature you could control, one that would give you access to the neural network without the ethical constraints the Confederation imposes. Peltora's antenna flattened against her head. Commander? Is this true? Of course it's not true. Vrazak roared. She's manipulating you. Guards. Sedate her immediately. The guards moved forward, weapons raised, but they too froze mid-step. Here's what's going to happen, Ileana said, her galaxy eyes sweeping the room. I'm going to walk out of here. None of you will try to stop me. In fact, you are all going to help me understand exactly what I have become. And why would we do that? Vrazak sneered. Ileana smiled, and for the first time it reached her eyes, those terrifying, beautiful eyes. Because I'm asking nicely. This time. To Vrazak's horror, he found his body moving against his will, leading Ileana toward the command center. The others followed, a procession of the galaxy's most brilliant minds, now puppets to this human female. You know, Commander, Ileana said conversationally as they walked, for someone planning galactic domination, your security protocols are surprisingly lax. I have already accessed your communications network and sent a detailed report to the Confederation Council. You are bluffing, Vrazak said, though doubt gnawed at him. You couldn't possibly understand our systems that quickly. Couldn't I? Ileana tapped her head again. I have got 27 brilliant scientific minds at my disposal right now, plus whatever this serum has done to my brain. It's like having the world's most advanced search engine running at full capacity. The command center doors slid open, revealing a panoramic view of space through a massive viewport. Beyond the laboratory ship, the vastness of the galaxy stretched out, billions of stars twinkling against the void. Beautiful, Ileana whispered, momentarily distracted by the view. I never thought I'd see space like this. You won't live long enough to enjoy it, Vrazak said. The serum is unstable. Even if you have survived the initial transformation, your cells will eventually break down. About that, Ileana said, turning to face him. According to Dr. Peltora's research notes, which, by the way, are much more thorough than yours, the cellular degeneration was a failsafe you built into the serum, a way to control your creation. Peltora looked at Vrazak with new understanding. You sabotaged the formula? Of course I did. Vrazak snapped. What use is a weapon that can turn against its master? The human will die within a solar cycle, less now that the transformation is complete. Ileana laughed again, but this time the sound was almost gentle. That would be troubling if I hadn't already synthesized the antidote. Impossible, Vrazak and Peltora said in unison. Is it? Ileana gestured to a nearby console, which lit up with complex chemical formulas. Your combined knowledge, plus whatever upgrades this serum has given me, it wasn't that difficult. The antidote is already being produced in your medical bay. A distant alarm began to sound. Vrazak recognized it immediately, the proximity alert for Confederation vessels. Right on time, Ileana said with satisfaction. That would be the Confederation Council's enforcement fleet, responding to my distress call. What have you done? Vrazak whispered. I have done exactly what you wanted, Ileana replied, stepping closer to him. I have become something more, just not something you can control. The viewport filled with the imposing silhouettes of Confederation warships, their weapons systems powered and ready. This is High Commander Zalhab X of the Confederation Council, boomed a voice over the communications system. Commander Vrazak, you are ordered to surrender your vessel and all research materials immediately. Eliana waved her hand and the communications panel activated. Hi, Commander, she said, her voice calm and authoritative. This is Eliana Reeves, Human Subject 17. I believe we have much to discuss about the future relations between humanity and the Galactic Confederation. Vrazak watched in horror as his career, his ambitions, his very future crumbled before his eyes. And through it all, the human, this insignificant creature that should have been nothing more than another failed experiment, stood tall, her galaxy eyes fixed on the stars that would soon be hers to command. Don't look so glum, Commander, Eliana said, noticing his despair. You wanted to create the perfect weapon. Congratulations. You succeeded. Now you just have to live with the consequences. As Confederation troops boarded the vessel, Eliana turned her attention to the arriving officials, her mind already racing with possibilities. The test subject had become something far more than her captors had ever imagined. And this was only the beginning. The universe was about to change forever. 6 months later, the Grand Assembly Hall of the Galactic Confederation buzzed with nervous energy. Representatives from over 3,000 worlds filled the massive chamber, their various anatomies accommodated by specialized seating arrangements. At the center of it all stood Eliana Reeves, looking remarkably composed for someone about to address the most powerful governing body in known space. This is unprecedented, muttered Supreme Counselor Jarek Dur, his translucent skin pulsing with bioluminescent patterns that betrayed his agitation. A human addressing the full assembly? And not just any human, but an unauthorized genetic experiment. I, Commander Zal Havex, whose testimony had been instrumental in the trial of Commander Vrazak, leaned closer to the Supreme Counselor. Not just addressing, sir. She's requested a formal hearing for consideration as Earth's official representative. Preposterous, Dur replied, his light patterns flashing crimson. Earth isn't even an acknowledged member world. They are barely space-capable. With respect, sir, Zal Havex said carefully, after what happened on Vrazak's research vessel, I'm not certain we have much choice in the matter. The murmuring throughout the hall quieted as Eliana stepped onto the speaker's platform. She wore a simple black suit, custom-tailored to her human form but styled after Confederation diplomatic attire. The only hint of her transformation was her eyes, those unsettling, beautiful galaxies that seemed to see through everyone and everything. Distinguished representatives of the Galactic Confederation, Eliana began, her voice carrying effortlessly through the vast chamber. Thank you for agreeing to hear me today. I come before you not just as a survivor of illegal experimentation, but as a bridge between worlds. Supreme Counselor Dur raised one of his 7 appendages. MS Reeves, while the Confederation deeply regrets the actions of Commander Vrazak, but we must point out that you are neither an official diplomat nor a recognized representative of Earth. Your presence here is a courtesy, nothing more. Eliana smiled, a gesture that no longer seemed entirely human. A courtesy, Counselor Dur? Is that what you call it when you are terrified of what might happen if you refuse me? Let's not pretend. Every being in this chamber has heard the reports. You know what I am now, what I can do. A ripple of discomfort moved through the assembly. That sounds remarkably like a threat, Dur said, his bioluminescence now pulsing rapidly. Not a threat, Eliana replied. An acknowledgement of reality. After all, isn't that what the Confederation prides itself on? Making decisions based on reality rather than emotion or tradition. I, Commander Zal Havex, stepped forward. Perhaps we should focus on the proposal MS Reeves has brought before us. A formal alliance between Earth and the Confederation would have certain advantages. Advantages? Scoffed a representative from the Procyon system, their voice modulated through a translator. What could these primitives possibly offer us? Eliana turned toward the Procyon representative. That's an excellent question, Representative Tovak. Let me answer by asking one of my own. How's your quantum entanglement research coming along? Still stuck on the coherence problem? Tovak's 6 eyes blinked in rapid succession. How could you possibly know about that? That research is classified. Is it? Eliana tapped her temple. Funny thing about your neural network. Once you are connected, information flows both ways. I can access your knowledge, yes, but my human brain processes it differently. Makes connections your species might miss. She turned back to address the entire assembly. Humanity has something unique to offer the Confederation. Our minds work differently. We make intuitive leaps, we think around corners, we find solutions where others see only problems. Combined with your technology and the neural network, we could advance Confederation science by centuries. Supreme Counselor Dur leaned forward. And in exchange for this intuition, Earth would receive what exactly? Protection, Eliana stated simply. Knowledge, technology. The same benefits any member world receives. Plus the guarantee that no more humans will be abducted for unauthorized experiments. A rumble of conversation swept through the hall. Zal Havak signaled for quiet. There is another matter to discuss, the High Commander said once silence had returned. The matter of your condition, MS? Reeves. Our scientists have studied Commander Vrazak's research extensively. They believe your connection to the neural network is unprecedented in its depth and breadth. They are right, Eliana confirmed. I don't just access the network. I can manipulate it, direct it, even expand it. Which makes you potentially the most dangerous individual in the galaxy, Dur said bluntly. Eliana laughed, the sound echoing strangely in the vast chamber. If I wanted to be dangerous, Counselor, this conversation wouldn't be happening. I'd have already taken control of every connected mind in the Confederation. The silence that followed was absolute. But that's not what I want, she continued more softly. What I want is cooperation. Partnership, a future where humans and the Confederation species can benefit from each other's strengths. A tall, willowy being with skin like burnished copper rose from the second tier of seats. Ambassador Trell of the Andorian Alliance, one of the founding members of the Confederation. I have observed humans, Trell said, her voice musical and precise. They are unpredictable, emotional, often irrational. Yet they accomplish remarkable things despite these limitations, or perhaps because of them. I propose we consider MS, Reeves' offer. Consider it? Dur sputtered. She's an unauthorized genetic experiment with potentially unlimited access to our most secure network. Which is precisely why we should keep her close, Trell replied calmly. Unless you believe we can contain her? All eyes turned back to Eliana, who stood patiently waiting, that not quite human smile still on her face. There is another option, came a new voice from the Council platform. Admiral Chorus, head of Confederation Security, stepped into view. The isolation protocol. A gasp rippled through the assembly. The isolation protocol was the Confederation's most severe measure, used only 3 times in its 50,000-year history. It involved the complete quarantine of an entire star system, cut off from all contact with the rest of galactic civilization. You want to isolate Earth? Eliana asked, her galaxy eyes narrowing. Punish an entire planet for something they had no part in? Not Earth, Admiral Chorus replied coldly. You. Before Eliana could respond, a shimmer of energy surrounded the speaker's platform. A containment field, the most powerful the Confederation could generate. The Council has already voted, Chorus continued. You will be transported to the sanctuary facility on Deimos Prime, where you will live in comfort but complete isolation from the neural network. Eliana looked around at the field, then at the faces of the Council members. Her expression wasn't angry, as they might have expected. It was disappointed. You really think this will hold me? She asked quietly. It's reinforced with quantum-locked pathways, Chorus explained. Even with your abilities, you can't breach it. Eliana sighed deeply. This is such a waste of time. She closed her eyes for a brief moment. When she opened them again, the containment field flickered and died. Admiral Chorus, she said, Stepping off the platform and walking directly toward the security chief, your loyalty to the Confederation is admirable. But your understanding of what I have become is limited by your own experience. Chorus reached for his weapon, but his hand froze inches away from it. I didn't want to do this, Ileana said, addressing the entire assembly once more. I wanted cooperation. Partnership. I still do. But it seems a demonstration is necessary first. Throughout the hall, beings of all species suddenly went rigid, their eyes widening in shock or fear. Right now, Ileana explained, I'm touching the mind of every being in this chamber, lightly, just enough to restrict certain motor functions. I could do more. I could rewrite your thoughts, alter your memories, change your very personalities. But I won't. Because that's not who I am, that's not who humanity is. She released her hold, and a collective gasp echoed through the chamber as everyone regained control of their bodies. What do you want? Supreme Counselor Dur asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Exactly what I said before, Ileana replied. An alliance. Earth joins the Confederation as a full-member world, with all the rights and responsibilities that entails. In return, I will serve as humanity's representative and share the unique insights my hybrid mind provides. And if we refuse? Admiral Chorus demanded. Ileana shrugged. Then I leave. Return to Earth. Tell my people about the stars, the worlds, the incredible species I have encountered. And we prepare. Because make no mistake, now that we know we are not alone, humanity will reach the stars with or without your blessing. Next time. We might not be so interested in friendly cooperation. Commander Zal Havek stepped forward, positioning himself between Ileana and the Council. Perhaps a compromise is possible. A probationary period during which Earth is granted observer status and MS. Reeves serves as a special advisor to the Council. This would allow both sides to build trust while assessing the viability of a permanent arrangement. But Ileana considered this for a moment, then nodded. I can accept that, provided there are no further attempts to contain or control me. The Supreme Counselor conferred briefly with the other Council members before responding. The proposal is acceptable, on a probationary basis only. Excellent, Ileana said with genuine warmth. Then let's begin our partnership properly. I believe the Procyon quantum entanglement problem I mentioned earlier. I have already solved it. The solution came to me while we were talking. She gestured, and the main display in the chamber lit up with complex equations and diagrams. Representative Tovak of Procyon studied the display, all 6 eyes blinking rapidly. This couldn't possibly, our best minds have worked on this for decades. Different perspective, Ileana explained. My human intuition combined with Vexillian analytical frameworks. And that's just the beginning of what we can accomplish together. 3 years later, Ileana stood at the viewport of the Confederation flagship Harmonious Accord, watching as the diplomatic fleet approached Earth. After years of preparation, humanity was about to be officially welcomed into the galactic community. Nervous? Asked High Commander Zal Havek, who had become something of a mentor to her during her time with the Confederation. A little, Ileana admitted. It's not every day your species joins a 50,000-year-old galactic government. They will adapt, Zal Havek assured her. Humans are remarkably resilient, and they have you to guide them, Ileana smiled. Guide, yes, rule? No, that was never my intention. And yet, came the voice of Supreme Counselor Dur as he joined them at the viewport. Here we are, 3 years later. And you have become the single most influential voice in Confederation politics. The Galactic Senate votes unanimously with your recommendations. Research institutes across 17 systems work exclusively on your theoretical models. Military commanders consult you on strategy. Are you accusing me of mind control, Counselor? Ileana asked, though her tone was light. Not at all, Dur replied. I have had my mind scanned regularly, as have all council members. You have kept your word, no direct manipulation. and yet your influence grows. It's almost as if. As if what? Eliana prompted when he trailed off. As if you were born for this, Dur finished. As if Commander Vrazak, for all his flaws, accidentally created exactly what the Confederation needed: a bridge between species. A mind that can comprehend the vastness of our collective knowledge while still maintaining the creative spark that makes humanity unique. The ship's communications system chimed softly. "We are approaching Earth orbital space," announced the captain. "Planetary representatives are standing by for first contact protocols." Eliana took a deep breath. "Well, gentlemen, shall we make history?" As they walked toward the diplomatic reception area, Admiral Chorus fell into step beside them. The security chief had remained skeptical of Eliana for years, but even he had eventually acknowledged the benefits her hybrid mind brought to the Confederation. "The probationary period ends today," Chorus noted. "The Council will vote on your permanent status after the Earth ceremonies." "I'm aware," Eliana replied. "The vote is expected to be unanimous," Chorus continued. "You will be named Supreme Ambassador, with authority exceeding even that of the High Commander. Some are already using a different title for you." Eliana raised an eyebrow. "Oh? And what title is that?" "Emperor," Chorus said simply. "The last Emperor of the Galactic Confederation. The one who will unite all species under a single vision." Eliana stopped walking, forcing the others to pause as well. "I have never sought that title or that power." "And that," said Supreme Counselor Dur, "is precisely why so many believe you deserve it. You have never taken control, despite having the ability to do so at any moment. You have advised, suggested, guided, but never commanded." "The Ascension Serum," Zal Havex added. "Vrazak named it well, though not in the way he intended. Your ascension hasn't been to power over others, but to a broader understanding, a perspective none of us could achieve alone." The doors to the diplomatic reception area slid open before them, revealing a chamber filled with representatives from every Confederation world, all gathered to witness humanity's induction. "They are waiting for you," Dur said. "All of them. Not because they fear what you might do if they refuse, but because they have seen what you can help them become." Eliana looked out at the assembled representatives, then beyond them to the viewscreen showing Earth, her home blue and beautiful against the blackness of space. "The last test subject," she murmured. "The last Emperor." She squared her shoulders and stepped forward to greet her future. Behind her, the most powerful beings in the galaxy followed without hesitation, drawn not by fear or compulsion, but by the simple, undeniable truth the universe had changed, and they had changed with it. The age of the last Emperor had begun,